Hey, Jay Williams here with another Pocket Coaching. I am back from 11 days in Mauritius with no work, no laptop, no emails, no social media, no nothing. And am I glad I did it? Now, I want to ask you a quick question. Imagine for a second, what would life look like if you could just take 11 days off with no work, no emails, no social media, no nothing, just completely disconnect? Now, chances are you had a feeling of, or maybe even a smile on your face. And just notice what also happened probably after that. Did you continue to feel that great feeling? Or did your mind create an alternative feeling, such as stress or anxiety or something else? Maybe it created a thought which might have sounded like, oh, I don't have time for that. I couldn't do that. That's okay for you, Jay. I want to just notice that because I want to share with you today one of the biggest lessons that I got from taking these 11 days off. And like I said before, I hadn't done this for 4 years, and there's a specific reason for that. Now, before I went away, I knew that I needed a plan. I knew that if I was going to take this time off, I needed to have a plan to take care of the things that I had in my head were really important and really urgent and needed to get taken care of. And what I did is I sat down and wrote down all of the tasks, all of the things that were buzzing around in my head, all the things that I was aware of. And I decided to use the Eisenhower matrix. And you can check it out on Google, but it's basically a 4-column tool, 4-sector tool used to prioritize your task. And the top 2 columns are what's called urgent important and not urgent important. And what you do is you put your tasks in the relevant categories. Before I went away, I looked at my list, and the first column, urgent, important, there wasn't that many things in there at all. Now, what I always see in entrepreneurs and business owners, and this literally showed up the first day I got back from my break, entrepreneurs typically find themselves putting out fires, being reactive, trying to do everything. And what ends up happening is they try and do everything and they don't do anything very well. They find themselves spending too much time in their inbox, spending too much time on their social media, and their business doesn't grow at the level they really want to. And it simply comes down to where they're focusing their time, energy, and efforts. So a lot of people find themselves in this urgent, important. Everything feels important and everything feels important to do now. Now imagine for a second, you want to take a break and everything feels urgent and important. Do you really think you're going to be able to get yourself to take the time off? No, because everything's going to feel like an emergency and everything's going to feel like it needs to get done now. And you're going to come up with reasons, justification, and excuses to why you can't do it. And this simply comes down to a place of either fear, you're operating from a fear of anxiety of what could happen, or you're operating from a place of, I need to do this stuff now so I get instant validation, so I feel good, right? So you're addicted to the short-term dopamine hit. Whereas if you want more insight into that, read the book by Jack Canfield, Eat That Frog. He recommends you do the big stuff that you're putting off every day to get a higher lasting dopamine hit rather than these short-term dopamine hits that we all get on social media or checking emails. Second quadrant, when I went to it, I looked at it, and this is the not urgent important. And what I noticed is that 90% of my tasks, of the things that I was focusing on, were actually in this sector. I was like, winner, because this is when you're thinking long term. This is where you're thinking about working on the business, thinking strategically. And what I realized in that, and this was the goal for me, was that when I looked at all of those tasks were a month away. They could wait a couple of weeks. They're 3 months, 6 months, 12 months out. And as I looked at those tasks, I was like, whoa, my business is not going to fall apart and fail and die if I take a couple of weeks off. And that insight alone for me of focusing on the right sector, the Eisenhower matrix in my task, and not operating from a place of fear, gave me the permission, and this is really important, gave me the permission to myself to go, hey, I can take 2 weeks off. I'm in control. I'm in charge. I get to decide what I do in my business. And all of this stuff is things in the future. Whereas in my head, everything felt like it was now and I needed to take care of it. But when I got it out of my head and down onto paper and I organized it in a way where it was prioritized, I could easily see that it was absolutely okay for me to take this break and not worry about work and not be checking my emails and not worry about any of that stuff. And the question I really have for you to wrap this up is, where are you spending most of your time? Because if you're out of balance, if you're burnt out, if you're stressed, if you're reactive, putting out fires, chances are there is something within you, some emotion such as a fear or an anxiety, whatever you want to label it, or stress, that's driving you to do that and be reactive in that way. And I promise you now, if you operate from that place, you will have slow growth in your business and you will never be able to take the holidays you really want and have the freedom that you really want in your business to really pursue and spend time doing the things that are most meaningful to you. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you soon.